Hello and welcome as I attempt to Blexplain what is going on in Season 20. During the Season 19 election, fans refused to repeal turntables, instead voting highly to introduce the underbracket, a postseason for the lowest scoring teams. The boss appeared, frustrated once again with our choices, to say they'd made a deal to ensure that winning continued to be winning. The reader had introduced turntables, making every win equal -1 win. The boss did some funky maths and introduced sun, which squares every win after turntables is activated, meaning that all wins are positive. We also went into the season having discovered a team in the Hall of Flame, the Alaskan Immortals, who were mentioned in the library. The only information available is the same as has been revealed in the library, but we can now see players on the team and their stats. We also had another portion of the library unredacted, detailing some of the current teams playing in a good and bad league and how they ranked. For the first time, the Earl Siesta did not bring us a seasonal reading. It did, however, give us the depth chart. A lot of the disagreement between the reader and the boss has been to do with E-density. When a team gains a win, it adds to the team's E-density, making them heavier and dropping them towards the consumers. Other things add to E-density, such as stadium modifications and championships. When the wins were all negative, E-density decreased, so teams were not getting attacked by consumers, but the boss was not happy about this. With the depth chart, we can see where each team is in relation to the noodle and thus the consumers. In relation to E-density, the late Siesta renovations were fun. Tunnels was ratified into law, now allowing the home team to steal runs and items from their opponents during a game. 17 teams installed balloons. When a run or a win is earned in that ballpark, a balloon is inflated, giving the team a tiny bit of negative E-density. 3 teams installed ball pit, which gives foul balls 5 times the E-density they would usually have. And 7 teams installed a light switch, which can flip the polarity of the ballpark. Meanwhile, in the gift shop, we saw a Chorby Soul replica once again available, alongside the newly vaulted Valentine Games, and returning replica Goodwin Morin. Teams also mixed things up with their modifications, getting both late and early to the party, underhanded and subtractor items, ambitious and unambitious, and team favourites, soundproof and fireproof. The subtractor and underhanded modifications were particularly notable, playing a large role in the continued chaos of unwins and unruns. Batters can be subtractors, and if they are, it means anything they bat switches polarity. So runs become unruns and unruns become runs. Pitchers are underhanded, and if they allow a home run, the polarity of that run will switch. It created a particularly interesting game on day 82 between the Georgias and the Firefighters. At the bottom of the 9th inning, the Georgias took a 6-5 lead, shaming the Firefighters. We then saw Flattery McKinley, a subtractor, up to bat against Wanda Shen, an underhanded pitcher. McKinley scores a run, which, because he's a subtractor, becomes an unrun, bringing the score back down to 5-all. Play continued into the 10th and 11th innings, with the game still marked as shame, but the score drawn. At the bottom of the 11th inning, Geraldine Frost hits a home run for the Georgias. However, they were pitched to underhanded, meaning this home run becomes an unrun, dropping the Georgias' score to 4 and putting the Firefighters back in the lead and bringing them out of shame. Play continues, and Ortiz Lopez hits another home run, putting the score at 5-3 to the Firefighters, which gives them the win and no shame, from the joint effects of subtractor and underhanded. In the over bracket, we saw wildcard Miami Dale beat the Jazz Hands, leaving the Wild League Championship a wild low affair. We also discovered that the over bracket wildcard picks take priority over the under bracket qualifiers, as the Magic, who were firmly in the under bracket postseason, appear as the mild card in the over bracket, where they lost to the Mechanics. we see the Spies, Tacos, Stakes and Mechanics progress, each taking their win in 4 games, apart from the Mechanics who needed 5. The Spies and the Mechanics then became Wild and Mild League champions, but it is the Mechanics who are crowned Season 20 champions. Now the Underbracket, a competition in which losing is winning. In this postseason, you progress by losing more games, each of which grants you a win. We saw the Wildcard Lift beat the Worms and the Shoe Thieves knock out the Pies. From here, the Wild Wings, Georges, Lovers and Garages lose to get through to the League Championships. The Wild Wings and the Lovers take those titles, as we see the Wings gain an extra win from Black Hole Weather. But our very first unwinner of the Underbracket is the Lovers, who took the title by losing 3 games to 1. But what else happened during the season? We saw Black Hole activate 27 times and Sun 2 32 times. However, this was different, as the Black Hole now burped out wins rather than swallowing them, and Sun 2 smiled at teams, not on them. There were 165 parties, and tragically, 74 consumer attacks. There were 4 reverbs, 2 incinerations, and 3 feedback swaps, whilst Jessica Telephone shelled Kelvin drum solo. And now, the weird and wacky. Kennedy Loser, the only haunted player in the league, caused quite a commotion when they started being inhabited by ghosts of players we'd never heard of. They were not the new players listed on the Immortals page either. Coining the acronym KLONGS, Kennedy Loser's New Ghosts, fans began keeping a note of who was inhabiting Kennedy, stacking up 70 unique new appearances across the season. We also saw an incredible turn of events from Jesus Koch, who became Super Roman in the Season 19 election and gained the 5th base. By day 36, they had already changed team 4 times. But most surprisingly, on day 38, they decided to place 5th base down, at the oven, leaving the Pies with 5th base for the rest of the season. Thank you for joining me for another Blaxplanation. I'll be back with more Blaseball fun and facts soon, but until then, rejoice, play ball.